Yes, Heather Kathleen Kennedy. Nice to meet you again.
Again. Nice to meet you again. How are you doing?
I'm good. I've had that nasty flu for about a month and it's gone, so I feel like I have a new lease on life.
So, as a first question, can you tell me a little bit about your diagnosis, please, if you can?
Yes, I was a little shocked. I had been boxing and training with a boxer named Carlo at this UFC club, and I thought I had a neck injury because my neck would hurt like there was a butter knife in it. And my left side was not responding. I play the violin and I couldn't really get the vibrato to work anymore. It kind of looks like this, and it was like kind of like I couldn't, it was all awkward. And then Carlo during the training sessions kept saying, Kennedy, your left side's open. So we'd be hitting, not really hitting, but training. And he kept saying, your left side's open. I'm like, no, it's not. Boom. No, it's not. Boom. So, my brain was sending signals that weren't reaching, but I had no awareness. And it was actually an alternative doctor that I went to see named Dr. Schbach, who started crying one time when I was on his table. And he said, Heather, I think this is neurologic. You need to see a neurologist. This is beyond my scope. And it hadn't occurred to me that it was a neurologic issue before. You think you have a neck injury, or you think that you might have had the flu or something just a little off and it will pass, but it was getting worse. This was in about 2009, 2010. I started recognizing something was wrong. But anyway, in 2011, a doctor diagnosed me. I didn't believe him for a while. And then in 2012, I saw three more doctors, rapid fire, and they diagnosed me properly.
Wow. How did they
Yeah.
diagnose it? Was it like a process of elimination, or did they do tests, or?
Yeah, I mean, it always is. The first man that I saw had terrible bedside manner, but he was a thorough diagnostician. Like he was just really into checking out everything, ruling out one thing at a time. Wilson's disease,
Mm,
MS, and on it went. Lyme disease, which is very hard to diagnose, as you all know, as everyone knows. Um, but yeah, no, it was surprising, and yet there was a feeling of elation when he said Parkinson's. Because the deep dark fears, you go to ALS. You
yeah.
something that's much, and we know that Parkinson's isn't a death sentence, that it can be managed. Yes, it's terrible. It's a horrible situation, but it can be managed, unlike other things.
Yeah.
It's not like I got cancer and it's terminal.
Yeah.
I felt very fortunate actually. And people were like, why are you so happy you have Parkinson's disease? What are you doing? And, with people like Michael J. Fox and you and all the people that are in the world that are like doing it, like you're making it work. You're a graphic designer. You're doing all these amazing things. You're doing the 365. I feel like we can do this. I have hope because of others.
That's amazing. I'm so
So,
happy you just said my name in the same sentence as Michael J. Fox. That's going to make my life.
yeah.
Love
Well,
it.
you're a star.
Oh, shush, you are. So what's your most troubling symptom? What would you say annoys you most about Parkinson's?
That's easy. Crippling anxiety and depression.
Really?
Just absolutely crippling. I can get so deep dark in the muck, and I have friends that are just reaching a hand down and saying, "Hey, girl, you need to get up. Like, let's go dance or sing." Or music has saved my life. My karaoke and my singing and my dancing that I do with my friends it's such a joy, and knowing that my kids are there, I can't stay down long
Mm,
because depression is a clever liar. It comes in and it wants to get you alone and corner you and kind of isolate you, and it wants to kill you, but
mm,
it's a liar. And so I write constantly about that. That's kind of how I started blogging. It was a feeling of desperation and loneliness, and that isolating feeling that comes from chronic pain. So yeah, that's definitely it. The physical symptoms I can handle. Like if I'm
mm.
shaky or awkward or tripping or I look like I'm drunk, I can handle all that stuff. But yeah, my heart hurts from this disease. It hurts. It's a hard disease to be around.
Yeah, I have to say I totally agree. I think most of the symptoms I can handle, the physical ones, because you can just sort of not do something or do it a bit slower or, you know, wait a bit.
Yeah.
You can get around most things. Even if it's painful, then it's painful, but you can sort of get around most things. But the
Exactly.
emotional side and the kind of mental side of things is really difficult because it is completely all consuming. And if you're down, then you can't handle it. You literally can't handle it, and it's almost like you've then got this mental kind of difficulty going on, this kind of real battle in your head with yourself, and this battle with your body. You're just fighting
Yeah.
everything, and it's exhausting.
It really is. Exhausting's the right word. I mean, I'm just exasperated on some days. And my friends will say, "What's so terrible?" or "What's so wrong?" And my answer to them is, nothing's so wrong. It's just that I'm struggling with this internal battle. It's always like me against me.
Yeah,
And the additional entity of Parkinson's that's always there.
yeah.
And it's just a struggle.
I think that's the thing, is the difficulty of people not understanding depression and not understanding
Oh,
kind of the fact that it doesn't take anything to be wrong for it to happen. I think that's the kind of common misconception.
right.
You can be rich, you can be successful, you can be attractive, you can be living the life of Riley and be depressed. There can be nothing wrong in your life,
Yeah.
perception wise. But actually, I had a friend who I worked with who had it very badly, and she used to say she could feel it creeping in, almost like a sort of a cloud. She could feel it kind of coming upon her, and she'd try and kind of stop it, but she knew it was just going to like wash over her and take her, and then she'd be gone for like effectively a period of time, and she didn't know when she'd be okay again, and it really scared her. And I remember when she talked
Yeah.
about it, she said it frustrated her the most, the fact that people didn't understand it wasn't the fact that anything was wrong. It was almost just nothing was right, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's the vicious circle of it. Um, it's that shame and that aloneness and feeling odd, and having people respond to you in a way that's like, snap out of it.
Mm,
When in fact, a lot of times these aren't causal things. For example, what's going on inside us chemically with Parkinson's is causing a great deal of this. So the extra things outside of us that happen in our lives, like I love that poem by Charles Bukowski that I've read before online called The Shoelace. It isn't the giant disasters that send a person to the madhouse. It's that slew of little things.
yeah,
Oh, you miss the bus, you have a cracked windshield, you trip and fall, you lose your wallet. It's the little things. And so if you're already depressed, those things feel
yeah,
huge. Our coping mechanisms are broken down. We are literally being broken down by this disease. And
yeah,
if we don't stay on top of that part, the rest is going to, I mean, you can work out as much as you want, which does help with depression. You can eat right and you can do everything right. But if you don't get on top of the depression and get ahead of the anxiety, man, this is just like Icarus. Like, this is an uphill battle,
mm.
or Sisyphus. Wait, is it Sisyphus or Icarus? I think it's Sisyphus. The guy who's pushing the rock up the hill and it keeps falling back
I
down
can't
and
remember.
pushes the rock up the.
Maybe let's go with
Yeah.
that. Someone will probably comment and say no, it's the other one.
Sisyphean. I don't know. Yeah. I
Some
like to make.
dude pushing a rock. Yeah, I have to say the medication doesn't help anything, especially when you're kind of going through the medication changes, and they do seem to try and change it quite a lot, I've noticed. I mean, especially with my neck being the way that it's been recently, they've tried every kind of combination of medication to try and rectify it. So for a while, I
Yeah.
was every week switching my dose, and I just wasn't getting the sort of respite in between. I mean, they wanted to do it every couple of days, and I was saying, no, I want a week in between because your chemical imbalance is just shocking. Then you're like emotional, you can't sleep, you're hungry at all the wrong times, like everything is wrong. Yeah, I was
It's
like
like going
getting
up,
upset
going
at
down,
everything.
going up. Which way do you want it? Like, I can't keep going on and off Comtan. I can't keep going on and off Cinnamon. Can't keep going on and off the new Pro patch when they mess with my patch. We're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. We take these medications to be able to move. And if we don't take them, we're locked up. We're like,
Yeah,
like this. So we take these medications to sort of open us and keep us fluid and keep us sort of functioning sort of in society. And yet look at the side effects that we have to deal with. It's just
like
a cruelty.
dyskinesia and things like that. The fact that that is
Yes,
caused by the medication.
yes. It's like when Michael J. Fox was being interviewed and he was jerking around, and the one guy, one of the talk show hosts, was sort of mocking him, saying he didn't take his meds. I'm like, no, he took his meds.
Yeah,
That's why he's moving
And then
around,
actually that feels
you know?
better sometimes
So
than being stiff. You know, actually the moving around feels, you've actually got some motion, you've got some movement.
that's
Yeah,
right. I think that's why dancing has been such a joyful exercise for so many of us, you know? And when I say dancing, it could just be interpretive dance. It doesn't have to be like a formal class. I
yeah,
mean, hell, my kitchen, you know?
yeah. I'm always dancing on my flat like an idiot. It's not good.
Oh,
It's not good
I
dancing.
love it. I
It's
oh,
not good dancing at all. So you mentioned it before, but you write and you blog about Parkinson's. Have you always done this? And actually, how long did it take you after your diagnosis to feel ready to do that?
I'm always writing. I've always kept a journal since about fifth grade. I remember I've been a writer in my mind.
Yeah,
You know, I don't have formal training, obviously. I mean, anyone who's reading my stuff knows that I'm kind of a stream of consciousness writer, and I just try to be very candid. And the reason that I'm blogging, like I said, it originally came from a place of great desperation and loneliness and isolation. But when I started to have people write me and say, hey, I feel a little bit less alone because of something that you wrote,
mm,
I was so inspired to just keep going with that.
yeah,
Whether or not my voice was, you know, professional and polished or not, it didn't matter anymore.
no,
I didn't exist anymore. I was playing conduit. So I just started listening to what people were saying and gathering my own experiences and seeing what I could grab out of those things that might be useful to someone.
yeah,
And, you know, I can't really help but write. I love to write, just like I love to dance and sing and paint, and creative pursuits keep me above water, you know?
yeah,
So when it comes to blogging, I am really inspired by a lot of the others, and this community that we have online is so vibrant.
yeah.
Like, I just love hearing other people's experience. I love the vlogs and the things that you're doing with like David, and oh my God, you guys are a blast. Oh, the Brits are so funny. I just love the Brits. I mean, Americans are so uptight. We think the whole world revolves around us, but the Brits are like, dude, we've been here for a long time. Like, what's going on here? And you guys have a great sense of humor and a great sense of just perspective, and you're funny. And yeah, no, I just, I'm really inspired by all the other writers.
So you're an official blogger for World Parkinson's Congress in Kyoto, aren't you? Which is very exciting.
So honored, so completely honored by that. The WPC changed my whole life. When I walked into Portland and met you and got to meet everybody and was wandering around with our friend Shell Bell and
Hmm.
Sarah and just everybody, I wept every night. I cried because I felt like I had come home. I said, oh my God, I found my people.
Yeah,
I had to get a brain disease to find my people.
that's
Like, what's
crazy, isn't
going on?
it?
I met Anders, just so many people that have changed my life forever.
Hmm.
And I would highly recommend anybody. I don't care if you have to marine crawl to Kyoto. I don't care if you gotta swim, put on your swimmies. Find a way to get there.
Yeah,
Every
that's
three,
my
four
message
years, we
exactly.
meet, you know?
Yeah.
And then, and it's the birthplace of karaoke, I hear.
Oh, amazing! I love karaoke. I
You're
challenge
ready to
you.
sing? Let's do it, girl.
What's your song of choice?
You know, I like Can't You See by the Marshall Tucker Band. Can't you see what that woman's been doing to me? I'd sing for you, but I'm a little stuffy. And I
Sorry,
used
I'll wait
to
for
sing Erica Badu's Tyrone a lot because that's fun. Because you can like drop the mic at the end, but you can't
it.
use my phone. Like, boom.
I look forward to a sing off with you in Kyoto then.
It's going to be
What would you
fun.
sing off?
Yeah. Oh, back to WPC and the work that Eli's doing and her team. I cannot say enough about how I don't know what I would do without the WPC.
Hmm.
If you're in a room with 5,000 people or in this big, you know, convention center, and you don't have to explain yourself to anybody
Yeah,
the
no.
entire time there, you're like, oh, look, you know, I forgot to take my meds. Oh, look, I'm shaky. Oh,
Yeah,
look, he's having trouble walking. You know, we all just drop in. It's like a big misfit toy island. We're wonderful. When I say misfit, I mean that in the best possible way. Like,
yeah,
we're so perfectly imperfect.
yeah.
You know, it just feels like home.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. I wasn't sure how I'd cope with being with that many people with Parkinson's, having never really been in a room with more than five probably at any one time. I was kind of worried that I'd feel emotional about it. And I remember Helen from Cure Parkinson's Trust saying to me, look into people's eyes because you'll freak out and you'll kind of see people in various states of the condition and you'll start to kind of panic
Yeah.
that you might get worse and you'll start to kind of you'll judge people. You won't mean to, but you'll kind of judge people on based on physically how they are. And actually, it's you should never do that, but it happens. We all get judged. Um, and
Oh, yeah.
and
Human nature.
but if you look into people's eyes, you suddenly see what kind of person they are. You talk to them, you find out what they're passionate about. And I'm so glad you gave me that advice because I was completely freaked out by the whole amount of people that were there that all had Parkinson's. It became very overwhelming, but it was an incredible experience. I absolutely loved it. And like you said, I was in a queue buying a sandwich and I turned to the person behind me and I said, oh, sorry. I was like flustering my coins in my purse. And I said, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm a bit slow. I've got Parkinson's. And she just looked at me and she went, we all do, love. And I was like, yeah, that's
Oh,
true. We all
we
do.
forget that we have these habits of
Yeah,
explaining our,
it was really
you
cute.
know?
So, this is always a question that has a lot of swear word answers to it. What would you say to Parkinson's if it was sat in front of you right now?
Ooh, ooh,
Or it could
that's a
be, or
good
it could be an
question.
action.
You know what, Emma? I wouldn't say a word. I would stand up, get a knife out of the kitchen, and let Parkinson's bleed out. And I'd be like, see ya. I wouldn't say a word. I would turn mercenary on that one.
That would be
I'd be
amazing.
like, let's go.
It's very Kill Bill.
Yeah. Yes, my hero, Beatrix Kiddo.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're feeling down, allow yourself
Yeah,
to feel down. Like that don't worry, be happy crap, those memes that people send
yeah.
around, stay away from negativity,
Oh no, yeah,
just
just
be happy, all that
always be how you
bullshit.
feel. Yeah,
Excuse my, but you've got to come as you are. Like
yeah,
I think you've been through a lot, and to say this is really, really hard, and just allow yourself to go through all those waves. It's kind of like grief when people say, "Oh, just get over it," or
yeah. No,
"Oh, you're
it's just
sad
like
about
grief.
that."
With something like Parkinson's and with this neck thing, you're grieving for your old life. You can't
Yes,
help it. You're grieving for the life that you thought you were going to have and the future that you
it's the
planned for
constant
yourself.
of loss, a
Yeah,
constant stream.
yeah, and it's you can have days where it feels less crap, but it's always there. It's not something that kind of disappears. Yeah, but it's just it's I think actually it's very difficult, but if you can kind of when I started doing the blog, I was trying to be all kind of like, oh, I'm telling my story, I'm on TV kind of thing. And I was, putting
Right.
on makeup every time and, really trying hard to kind of look presentable and wearing something nice. And it's quite funny, I think, over the time that the blog's been going, I've just got more and more honest to the point now that I'm like, screw this, I'm gonna be honest, I'm sat here and I've got no bra on under my top, I've just got ready for bed and I'm
Right.
like
Right.
I've got no makeup on and
Today is
I look
another
shit.
sick day. I have those days.
Yeah, and it's just
I I put on a little mascara for you though, see?
thank you. I appreciate that. It's lovely. You always look nice anyway.
Well, I really have learned so much. If I were to say something to a newly diagnosed person, it would be this. It would be stay connected. God, we need each other. We're going to fight like siblings and we're going to bicker and we're going to talk about politics, but we're going to mix it all up, right? But we need each other.
Yeah, so true.
So if they can't get online, if they're too advanced in their disease, what I would recommend is that their caregiver or partner or family or friends get online
Yeah,
because they need support too.
exactly
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
this is tough to
yeah,
be around.
exactly that.